Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. Oh my gosh, we're so excited. We're going to have a great show today. We're talking about single. Now, whether you're married or you're single is neither here nor there. You can learn from my two guests today. And so you're going to get some great information from these two ladies, Terry Kraft Rogers. Hello, Terry.
Hey!
And Tameka Wilson O'Brien. Hey.
Hi.
So right now, what I'd like for you guys to do, and I'm trying to try something new today, I'm going to put a little bit of music on while you take a moment and share the broadcast. Now, Tameka and Terry, what you would need to do as well is just go to my personal Facebook page, Kim Jacobs' Facebook page.
Yeah.
You can share it to your audience from my
Got
page.
it. Will do.
So we get ready to see how this works. Today is going to be my
Will
first
do.
day doing this, and we're going to have a good time. I'm going to play a little bit of music for you guys while you all share today's broadcast.
Absolutely.
Everybody should be sharing right now. Okay, Terry, I saw that you shared it. So your followers will see it.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, everybody. So there you have it. We are ready to kick off today's show. And thank you for being a part of today's show. As a part of our studio audience, I'd like for you guys to type in comments so that way I know if you're enjoying yourself, if you have questions for our panelists, that they get a chance to answer the questions throughout today's broadcast. If you don't type something, I won't know that you're in the studio audience. So please make sure you say hi, anything, because I really like to acknowledge my guests that's here on the Kim Jacobs Show. And Sean, if you could just let me know too that everything sounds good technically as we kick today's show off. I'm here, as many of you know, with COVID-19. I'm home. You all are home. And we're stay at home, shut in situation. So we're trying to do things professionally from an at home perspective. So I have to utilize my team from a distance. So please, Pamela Howard, I see that you're on and you're just as much a part of my team. So let me know technically if everything sounds good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to introduce my guests for today's show. Let me start by introducing Terry Kraft Rogers. She is a graduate of Hampton University.
HU!
See these HBCUs right here. You know, I actually went to Upper Bound at Hampton University, and I
come on, we'll take it.
Oh my gosh,
and we'll take it.
And I have to say this, I will say that I actually faked like I was a college student, but it's not good to do that because then you get what you get when you're trying to act like you're older than you really are.
Yeah, you get in trouble that way.
Yeah, I only played that game for like a day or two. And then when some of those guys start trying to talk to me, I was like,
you said, no, I can't do this.
I'm in high school for real. Let's not even play this game. Y'all way too advanced for me.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway. Okay, let me go back now. Terry Kraft Rogers is a graduate of Hampton University. Yep. She is a senior financial consultant at, is it TIAA?
TIAA.
TIAA. She is a senior financial consultant at TIAA.
That's right.
Freelance makeup artist for 14 years. And I'm saying, like, she does some amazing artwork on your face.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful, and beautiful yourself, obviously.
Thank you.
And the author of Why Are You Single? The Most Hated Question While Dating. So I want to introduce Terry Rogers.
Thanks for having me. Hey, guys.
Thanks for being on. Now I have Tameka Wilson O'Brien with those beautiful dimples over there. She is best at living a transparent, authentic, and charmingly vulnerable life. Because she can relate to so much of the human condition and believes empathetically in doing the emotional work as it relates to the way we connect and behave with ourselves and others. Some have dubbed her a relationship expert. She manages her day-to-day operations in mid-sized Indianapolis area church, where she provides expertise in leadership, business strategy, administration, people management, and so much more. She didn't just graduate; she graduated summa cum laude from Bennett College, another HBC. Yeah.
In the house.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Professional English and a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. She is a self-proclaimed show mom and soccer mom of two multi-talented and decidedly active adults. Decidedly. And what does that mean, Will?
Very, very active in everything. They do everything all the time.
In her free time, you can find her sidelines or at her daughter's college soccer matches, or listening to one of her son's new releases. Awesome. She writes Dating D, and that's where you're going to be able to find more about her. Dating DEE. It's a comical blog chronicling her delightful mishaps in dating over the age of 40 and the digital age. So that's going to be funny, funny, funny. So we're going to get right in and talk to our two guests. Welcome, Tameka.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so everybody that's on, I know right away, people are going to want to know. Before we even just hop into the whole single thing, what I have my own question, because like today when I was getting dressed and I thought about it, I was like, this is a cute dress, right? Well, you may not know, but I have a cute dress on, right? And at the bottom, I just have no shoes or anything. I'm just totally at home. So I'm just cute
Honey.
on the top. So
Yeah.
now here's the thing. Why did I go and put on a sweater? I mean, I put on a sweater over top of this dress, even though, I mean, it's like my sleeves and stuff were cute, but I just automatically covered. Is that something that married? I don't know. Is that a married or something? Because I'm actually hot,
Right.
but I'm more comfortable not able to expose. Talk to me about that. Maybe one of y'all.
Habit. Might be habit. And sometimes, you want something just in case you get a little chilly to have something. And if you need to remove it, then you can remove it later. I'm the same way. I always have something on me just to stay warm if I get cold.
Okay, so a single or a married thing. It's just
Habit.
I don't know. I think there may be something to that. I mean, having been married for so long, for 20 years, and now being single, I think I was more apt to cover up when I was married, because this is everything in here belongs to somebody else. It doesn't belong to people out there to look at and to view. And I think I'm probably more apt not to cover my shoulders or my arms, or maybe even show a little bit more cleavage now that I'm single. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. I wanted to know from a theory perspective how that even played out. And sometimes I'm hot even when I'm covered up. I'm like, how do I have all of this stuff on? And this stuff, and right now, like I'm having a hormonal hot flash, and it's because of my age and different things that come along with being 49. Hey, I'll be 50 May 31st, by the way.
Hey,
on.
welcome to the 50 Club.
What comes along with age is like I'm hot very often, but I'm always still trying to cover up. Oh, I can tell you what Sean Hall says. She said that's churchified.
Wow.
She said I'm just simply being churchified. Okay, somebody else said yes, Sean Hall. Cover those arms, legs, and cleavage. Laugh. Well, we're not going to jump right into church stuff right away. Let's jump in first with the first question for you. How has being single impacted your life? And you said you were married for 20. Tell us about your journey a little bit.
So I met an amazing guy right out of college. We dated for a year, got married a year later, and jumped right into having children, and had two wonderful children. I often say I have two of the best gifts that God has ever given anyone. I'm so proud to be their mother. And had some incredibly great years married. I mean, had some incredibly great years married, and then some not so great years being married, and spent a lot of time trying to figure out, is God okay with me if I get a divorce, and having to deal with some of my own baggage, because I saw marriage as like divorce as losing, and I had never lost before. I had never lost anything before, and so I think I stayed in it and I fought. trying to save my marriage because I was committed to it and I was loyal, and quite frankly, because I didn't want to lose. I was good at everything, and this was something that I was, quite frankly, in the last 5 to 8 years sucking at really badly.
Wow.
And so we got a divorce, and I spent most of my adulthood being married. I didn't know how to be single. I didn't know how to be a single parent. I didn't know how to do this thing alone. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. Like, what do celebrations look like now? What does my life look like on birthdays and anniversaries and Christmas and holidays? Um, and
This,
then
this was some, wait a minute, this is some pretty profound stuff you're saying, because you're going through it, but it's stuff that's really going to relate to so many people. So I'm
Oh
typing
yeah.
some of what you're saying. One thing you said is Tameka stayed married because she didn't want to lose.
I didn't want to lose.
What do you
I
mean
didn't,
by that? Because I want you to expound on that a little bit more.
because divorce is so counterculture for me. It was very counterculture. And marriage is considered the prize in our society. So, like, you got married, you got this great prize. And if I got divorced, then it was like I was losing this great prize. And for me, because of my family history and some of the things in my journey to adulthood, um, I got locked in on winning. Like, winning was the thing for me. It was a coping mechanism for me, quite frankly, was to win, and so I won. I just found ways to win. Found ways to win in sports, and I found ways to win in the classroom. And for me, graduating number two in my class was a failure. Like, I was supposed to be number one, and I wasn't. And that's a lot of stuff that's packed in there from
Wow.
my childhood and my past, because most people are like, you graduated number two in your class, like,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I mean, I probably number 300. I don't even know what number. I can't even tell you what number. But I was a senior class president, so let me not undercut myself too much. I was a senior class president, so I won
there
from.
you go, there you go, there you go.
But you got
So
locked into winning and graduating number two. This is some deep stuff that you're saying. Graduating number two really impacted you in a negative way, some.
yeah, it was a failure to me. I was like, wow, it was like winning a silver medal. For some people, that is amazing, and for me, it was sort of like, I didn't get the gold, because I win. I had never lost at anything. Competitions that I entered, I won. It just, I was in the top of my class in high school, and without even trying. So it just was.
Now,
I had built my life on winning.
before you go on to your single component of life, uh, Terry, how I know you came from a single journey, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. While Dominica is saying that right out of college, she
Um,
met Herbo and the relationship just kind of continued from there. Mine was very much the opposite. I pretty much ran the streets, to be honest with you, probably until I was 30 years old, and, dated, you know, uh, quite a few people. And then once I turned 30, I started to slow down a little bit. But I didn't get married till I was 35 years old. So yeah, it's kind of opposites.
when you say okay, I didn't type you ran the streets, but I guess I could type
I mean,
that.
I'm just being honest.
Okay,
I'm
but I
just being honest.
dated until she was about 30 years old, but and then settle down. But when you say ran the streets, I like to kind of put that in your own words. So what
Yeah.
does ran the streets look like from your perspective?
Ran the streets meant I traveled to many places, dated different type of men, from, men who had a lot of money, men who had no money. I really got to get out here and see what it was I liked, because I got to date different types of people. That's what I would say. I got to ran the streets. I went many places, got to experience many different things.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So this is good. I mean, this is going to help a lot of single people out here. Terry, she said, ran the streets, but ran the streets, but in a way that it was traveled often, dated a lot of men, got to see what her options were up
Yep.
until she made a final decision as to who she was going to settle down with. That's really good information for people to know. Okay, so now tell us, Tameka, about how being single has impacted your life.
Wow. Well, it was like retraining my life because, like I said, I had spent my entire adulthood being married, and so I had to learn how to do things as a single woman. I had to learn how to parent as a single woman. Didn't I didn't know how to be a single parent, and I didn't, quite frankly, didn't know if I could.
Mhm.
Um, there were days where I doubted myself, like, thought I was an amazing mother when I was married, but am I still going to be a great mother as a single mother? And am I still going to be able to balance? Am I going to be able to balance to be the kind of mom I want to be, but one who is not completely um, entrenched in her children's lives. Like I want to give my children freedom to be and develop into who they're going to be, but also be there as a consultant, because by the time they're 16, 17, 18, you should have moved into, my belief is, you should have moved into the consulting phase of parenting. They should be making their own decisions, and you should be there to advise them and consult them when they seek it. And oftentimes they don't. But now I could have it all wrong, because most of my parents are doing it completely, most of my friends are doing it completely different. But what I do know is that I have children, adult children, who make their own decisions and they stand by them. And I think back and think, oh my God, I wasn't making those kinds of decisions at 21, at 20. And they do an amazing job, and I'm so proud of the people they have become. So I had to learn how to parent on my own. I had to take my car to get serviced. I hadn't taken my car to get serviced ever, like ever.
Mm.
I went from
Wow.
my grandfather taking my car to get serviced to me having to do that. And so there were just things that I had to do differently. I had to create my own traditions. I had to figure out, how do I celebrate this, that, or the other without someone planning it with me or for me, or planning it around someone else. So I had to relearn things. And quite frankly, for a while, I was a little upset about that. I was a little bitter, but I decided that I could be better. I didn't have to be bitter. I could be better. So I found the freedom that comes with being single.
Wow.
The Bible says it's a gift, that singleness is a gift. And so
Mhm.
I stepped head first into the gift of singleness, and I have time for myself now. I have time for ministry. I have time to do all those things that I kind of set aside because I was focused on doing things for and with my husband and for and with my children. And now I have time to do those things. And I mean, I just I just believe it is that singleness is absolutely good, and it's what God has for me in this season. I believe singleness is a place, a situation, a current status in life. And maybe I'll get remarried again. I don't know. For a while I wasn't even open to that idea. But in the meantime, whatever God has for me, I'm pursuing God and all of the projects that He's given me along the way, and I'm completely content.
Okay, wow. Okay. Now, wow. So and she is content. Let me type that, and then I'm gonna go on to Terry here for a little bit, because there's some good stuff that you guys have been saying. Whatever God has for Tameka, she is content. That's a good nail in the coffin on your part right there. Now, Terry, you wrote a book
Mhm.
about being single. So I
Yes.
really want to make sure I tell people, talk about the title of your book.
Yeah.
What made you even write this book? I want
Yeah.
everybody to hear the fullness of your story pertaining to your book.
Absolutely. So I wrote a book, and the name of the book is called "Why Are You Single? The Most Hated Question While Dating." I named it that because on my journey from being Miss to Mrs., I personally hated when men would ask, "So, why are you single?" And men love to ask that question. They love to ask you, "So, where's your man at? Why are you single? What's
Get
going
your
on?" And why do we hate it when men ask that question? Because what are they really saying? What's wrong with you? They want to
Mhm.
know what's wrong with you. Go on and put it on the table now. I don't want to wait 30, 60 days from now. Tell me what's wrong with you now. And we hate that question. And I just wanted to kind of play off of that question because we hate it so much. Why are you single? So that's why I named my book that title. As far as why I wrote the book, I think once I turned 30, I knew I was ready to be married and be somebody's wife. But I had a difficult journey from going from single to being married. So I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the roadblocks that I ran into from going from Miss to Mrs. And so that's really what the book talks about. And I'm glad Tameka was talking about something that really resonated with me when she said, how do I go get an oil change now? It was the opposite for me. It was, how do I let somebody do something for me? I'm so used to doing it myself. I don't need you to do nothing for me. I'll do it. I know how to do it. And it's so funny because I remember one time I was dating this guy and I was on my way to go meet up with him and my car broke down. And I was like, dang. So I called him. I said, hey, I know we were supposed to meet up, but my car broke down. He was like, all right, well, stay where you at. Give me 10 minutes. I'll call you back. By the time he called me back, I had already made arrangements for my car. And so he was like, well, didn't I tell you I was going to, handle your car and get it fixed or whatever? But I kind of had the mindset, I'm independent woman. I got this. Don't even worry about it. I'm going to get the car fixed. So I had the opposite of what Tameka experienced as far as allowing somebody to come in and help me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's like bizarre right there. I was trying to type everything you're saying because that is definitely indicative of so many single women that are like, I got this. I've had this my whole life. But like for me, for example, I was only single as a child. And so then basically for my entire adult life so far, I've been betrothed. I've been married.
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
I heavily be like, well, okay. Even now, even sometimes with my children, if my husband isn't doing it, I'll be like, well, somebody gonna do this because I don't. Right. And that is this self-entitlement thing, and that's not good.
It's called wifey privilege.
But so, and oh my gosh, the other thing from a wife perspective that I kind of have a challenge with. I was listening to something recently, and I heard someone say, if you are married and you are a mom and you have problems with your marriage, then how are you really being effective as a person whenever you're great in this area, but you're not great in this area? Then it's like, I don't even agree with that philosophy because a person does not know why a person is not married any longer. And I don't know how to word it because please somebody talk about that. Maybe you could talk about that, Tameka. Like, especially since you're coming from being divorced to becoming single. And like you said, you like to win. So clearly you would have stayed married, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely would have stayed. I mean, it was almost like, for me to get divorced, it was almost like, okay, you have no other choice but to get divorced. And I won't go into the details of that, but it was just like, okay, after all of that, and now this, okay, that's it.
Stop right there, Tameka. This is what I think right here, what you're saying, that women of integrity, women of honor, women of consideration, maybe that's the right word. Women of consideration would never go out and blast their previous spouse. And that's even right now, however long you've been divorced. How long have you been divorced?
It's been about 5 years.
Okay, so you've been divorced for 5 years. And right now on the Kim Jacobs show, technically speaking, you could just slam bass your husband, your ex-husband, but you're not. And
no, he's the father of my children. Wow. He's the father of my children. And he was once someone very special to me. And here's the thing. I don't believe in being in love. I believe that you either love people or you don't. And I absolutely love him. I just have to love him differently now. I get to love him as the father of my children. I get to respect him as the father of my children. So you either love people or you don't, and you're constantly negotiating your love agreement with that person. And so our agreement looks very different today than it did 7, 8 years ago. But I absolutely love him. I love him as the father of my children. I respect him for that. I couldn't have these two beautiful souls in my life without him. And we have some incredibly great years. We just ended. And some endings are necessary. They're
See,
absolutely.
that's what makes you dating D. Aw, I love it. Okay, let's go to some audience questions and comments because people are chiming in like crazy, and they'll be mad if I close the show without them getting a chance to say something. So right now it's kind of like a speed round of comments and questions. If anybody asks a question that you want to answer or comment, you want to respond to, make sure you do that. Pamela Howard says, good morning. Thank you so much, Pam, for being on. Trina Numa says, good morning. Good morning, Trina. Delee Mushalack says, beautiful ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gloria Chavis says, hey, Terry, you are an amazing woman of God.
Thank you.
Yes, she is. Hello from Renetta Pearsall.
Hi, Ronnie.
John's judging me. She said I was being tortured. Okay, we already heard Pamela's cover my arms. Oh, Sean.
I ain't covering nada.
She said I'm nada, and she's married for many, many years too.
Yes.
Screenshot that and send that to her husband. I bet you he'll say, "Oh, you covering something up in here."
Something.
Oh, yeah, there go Terry. There you go. Right, show him the shoulder blade. Cook says, I was going to say menopause, but I don't want to get in trouble with you, lady. Yeah, it's yeah, he's a man, so he's like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble with y'all.
Right.
Thinking it might be menopause. Thank you for being considerate. Own baggage. That's good. Own your baggage. That's
yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm divorced. Teriosity says, I'm divorced and no regrets. Okay. Sean, we all want to win in life. Highly competitive. Kind of like marriage is a sport. What's the prize? What's the prize? And that's the question that Sean Hall asked. Anybody want to address that?
Oh, well, I think when I was married and now that I'm single, I think that marriage is the prize. It is like that is the goal. That is what people are trying to get to. And I don't think people even care whether it's a good marriage, whether it's a great marriage, whether it's a marriage that is focused on loving and being good to each other. And something that I've often said to my married friends, and I can relate, is that sometimes the prize is getting married and then having children. And then guess what? We marry our children and our husbands are on the sideline saying, hey, look at me. What about me? What about me? So if I have any advice as a former married woman to single women or to married women, it is don't spend all your time married to your children. Like, save some time for your husband. Put those children to bed at 8:30, 9:30, whatever their bedtime is, and take a shower and smell good and look good and spend some quality time with your spouse.
I agree 100% with that. And that's necessary in order for a marriage to thrive. But I'm sure you did that too in your marriage.
I did. There were times when I didn't, but I certainly grew to that. Yes.
Okay, well, so let's go on and see who else says some other things. Consulting phase of parenting, people really like that. Sean Hall says that's a great idea. Ivani says, yes, exactly. Now you have time for you. Do married women get too consumed with their husbands?
I think married women get too consumed with their children. I think married men would say married women don't get enough consumed with their husbands. I think
Sure.
I think married women. I think. Okay. Let's say this: women, we wear the mask well.
Mhm.
We wear the mask well with each other specifically, but also with the world, the outward facing world. So our lives could be falling apart internally, but externally our makeup is tight, our face is beat, we look good, we smell good, we look we walk the walk, we talk the talk, but
Mhm.
internally things could be falling apart.
Right.
um, and so I think that we do a great job of making the world think that everything is great in our homes, and everything could be falling apart. And so I think if we put as much time and energy into making sure that things are great in our homes, and less time and energy on what other people think about what our home life really
Right.
is, then we would be in a much better position.
Yes, yes. Okay. Anything you want to say too, Terry? Feel free. Somebody said at 48, I'm ready to re-gift my singleness and give it back. That's Tammy Futrell. She said, I'm ready to get my singleness back. I'm ready for something now. Come on now, God.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to address that. I see one of the questions are, what are some healthy tips for singles? And one thing I will say, we're in a different generation right now. We are definitely in a time where it's not so much about relationships and dating. It has shifted more to Netflix and chill and people hooking up. That's sort of the times that we're in, and it's very unfortunate. So one of the tips that I will give singles, and something that helped me, is to not be so narrow-minded when it comes to dating, and be so close-minded on what love may look like. And I'm not just
Mhm.
talking about physical, but I'm talking about emotional as well. Don't be so stuck on how tall he is. Don't be so stuck on where he works. Don't be so stuck and closed-minded that you really miss out on a great man. Let's just say, for example, a lot of women put Sierra up on a pedestal, and they're looking for their Russell Wilson, and they're like, dang, I wish I could get a Russell. But how many of us have a Russell that works at the church with us, but we don't pay him any mind? Or we see Russell at the grocery store, but we say, oh, I can't date him. So one of my tips I would give women and men is,
Wow.
don't be so narrow-minded. Open your mind, because you never know how God is going to bless you and what Mr. Right may look like when he comes.
Wow. Open your mind to Mr. or Mrs.
Right.
Right. Wow. I'm trying to type everything you guys are saying too. Open your mind to Mr. or Mrs. Right. Don't
Mm-hmm.
be so close-minded on what love looks like. And this is for men or for women. Don't be stuck on where he or she works and how tall he or she is, or how, I guess, wealthy.
Anything.
I don't
Because
know.
as women, we're petty. We'll say, oh, I don't like the way his earlobes hang. I don't like his hairline. Oh, I don't like them shoes he got on. We're petty now and miss out on our blessing.
Don't be petty and miss out
Don't
on
be petty.
your blessing.
Yes.
That's some good feedback right there. Don't be petty and miss out on your blessing. Great
Don't miss
feedback.
out.
Wow. Okay. So now, Terry, with you, I know that you wanted to be married, much like a lot of women out here. What was your biggest obstacle on that journey as you became married? Because a lot of people that are watching today are single, but they are on the same journey maybe that you are on. What was your biggest obstacle?
My biggest obstacle was me. And that's the God honest truth. I remember 7 years ago, you know how they always say, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. My best friend got married, and after her wedding, I cried like a baby. And I remember telling her, I'm so ready to be a wife. I'm so ready to be married. And you know what she said? You're not ready. Because if you were ready, the type of men that you date would be different. But I was continuing to date the same man over and over and over again,
Mm.
and kept getting the same result.
What is
And
that
so,
called? What is that called? Insanity.
insanity,
Insanity.
insanity. Now, he might have had a different name. It might have been Tyrone. It might have been Chris. It might have been Mike, but it was the same man over and over again, and it was ending in the same result. And so I was wondering, well, dang, is it something wrong with the men, or is it something wrong with me? And I had to realize the problem's not with the men. It's it's a problem with the person that keeps choosing these men. And once I realized and started taking accountability for the person who was choosing these men, that's when I finally got a different result.
Yeah.
Wow.
Terry, my,
Oh,
my,
wait a minute. Wait
my
a minute. I gotta take this point off so that I can show your finger. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, put it on the screen. Terry shows her bling. Bling. Wait a minute. I'm gonna put that up there. Wait a minute. Terry shows her bling bling. You got a different result.
Yeah.
And now, what do you feel about that? Once you became married, how did that whole thing culminate for you?
I would just say taking personal responsibility, and realizing the part that I played in it, and once I started taking personal responsibility and realizing that I was attracting what I was. So I kept attracting men who were emotionally unavailable, but I was emotionally unavailable. So that's what I kept manifesting in my life. So until I became different and until I became better, I couldn't attract anything better.
Wow. Okay, you want to chime in, Tameka? This is some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
I'm actually being your receptionist on the show today. I'm your administrative assistant. So we are
Yes.
attracting what you are as a single person. So
Yes.
if you are needy, you're attracting needy. If
Yes.
you are vulnerable and scared and oh my God, woe is me, that's what you're attracting. If you are confident and strong and bring some value to the atmosphere of the universe, that's what you're going to attract.
Amen.
so I
Amen.
think you hit on something that there's a very thin line in what Terry is saying and what you're saying, Kim, and I think you hit on it because I say that there's a symbiotic relationship between two people who are hurting. So I think when you're hurting, you attract. So like, let's say if you're a people pleaser, I don't recommend it. I have been. I don't recommend it. But let's say you are. Then you'll be attracted to people who are impossible to please because there's a symbiotic relationship with your pain.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. There's a I gotta write this. There is a symbiotic. And I was a spelling bee champion, so I know how to spell it. Because I'm being prideful, I'll spell it wrong. There's a symbiotic what?
Relationship with your pain. So if you're a people pleaser, you'll attract somebody who's impossible to please because your pain, your damage is what's necessary for the relationship to foster. And so you'll be the host, they'll be the parasite, and you'll feed off of each other. But when you get well, then that tie is broken, and the parasite will quickly sever ties with you and go find another host who is more sympathetic to whatever it is that they need to their pain. So, but when you
wait a minute, let me read that. There is a symbiotic relationship with your pain. They will be the host, and you will be the parasite. Either
way, it could be either way. Whoever breaks that tie because they became well, that person is no longer hosting that parasite, and so the parasite has to sever ties because they have to go look for an appropriate host. They have to look for somebody to nuzzle up with their pain and to be tied with. But now, if you become well, you're emotionally healthy, you're confident, like you were saying, Kim, then your confidence will attract someone else who's confident. But if you're broken, if you're damaged, then you're going to have this symbiotic relationship with pain, and you're going to attract someone who needs to feed off of that.
This is some good stuff. Okay, we got to go on to some more audience questions because I don't want to miss somebody. It's so many people on here, and I'm so grateful for my audience today. But I think I picked up here. Let's see. That's so true. Where's your man? What's wrong with you? People get that's a question that was from before. People were saying, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because people think in our society, marriage again is the prize. So singleness is a consolation prize. It means that you're illegitimate, you're insufficient, you've been somehow disobedient, or you're now disqualified. You're disqualified for the blessings of marriage because there's something wrong with you. My
Yeah.
God,
But
you're pretty. I mean, Terry's gorgeous. Why wouldn't she be married? There has to be something wrong with her, right?
see, my thing is, why would people? Okay, so I see. First of all, I see some of the most exotic women being married. I'm like, my God, these are gorgeous. And I'm big on complimenting people. So if I
Yeah.
see a woman and she's gorgeous, I'm like, oh my gosh, she got everything looking just
Mhm.
in beautiful place, and I'm quite impressed with the fact that even God would even bless you and equip you to look like that. So I'm excited when I see other people, but then also I'm like, oh my gosh, people out here look like this.
Mhm.
And my question to you guys, being both from a single background type of thing, or married now single, what are I don't even know how to word this question. Why are some women willing to just accept any man, whether it's a married man or not? I don't understand. I really don't process that well. So, and it might sound like an ignorant question, but I just don't understand. I
Yeah.
don't want somebody that's married if I'm single, because then you're clearly not committed to even your own wife or your own husband. So why would I think you're going to be committed to me? I don't know. Somebody help me with that. You're
Let
not.
me jump in there. I think when you don't feel good about yourself, it's reflected in the men that you choose to date from a woman's standpoint. So if I don't feel like I'm worthy, or if God has anything better for me, then all I'm ever going to get is be a mistress to a man. And that's the best life may have to offer. But that is a reflection of how I feel about myself. Because if I felt better about myself, then I'd say, you know what? I know God got something better for me than to be somebody's mistress or somebody's side chick. I want my own man.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, let's be perfectly clear. There are plenty of women out there who are perfectly content to be a mistress or a side piece because what Terry said earlier, they're emotionally unavailable and they're attracted to men who are emotionally unavailable
Mhm.
because they have a symbiotic relationship with that pain.
Mhm.
Maybe their father abandoned them, or maybe they're a
Mhm.
victim of rape, or maybe they've had something in their past that some man in their life was emotionally unavailable or physically unavailable to them. And so there's this symbiotic relationship with the pain and they continue to manifest that. And some people, let's just be completely honest, some people just prefer that lifestyle because um they feel sexually liberated by it or what
Mm.
have you. But I think with our singleness, we could decide three things. Tony Evans says that we could decide that we could gripe about it, we could complain about it. We could be bitter about it. We could grab, which is what Terry was alluding to. You just hook you just sink into whomever is close. He doesn't have to be a good man. He doesn't have to be a great man. He doesn't have to be good for you or for anyone. But you got a man. I got a man. So you could gripe, you could grab, or you could choose to grow. And that is what I was talking about when I said the circumstances of my life, I could be bitter, but I decided to be better. So you could
Mhm.
grow. And so I think what Terry is saying is that when she decided to grow is
Mhm.
when God becomes the greatest matchmaker there ever is.
Mhm.
And the man that finds this wife, Terry, he found a good thing because that man, not all men, not mankind, the man that
Yeah.
found Terry found a good thing.
Oh
Come
my
on.
God. Okay, let's go on to some more audience comments here. Uh, this is some good stuff right here.
Mm.
Betrothed. Okay, Sean said betrothed. Being dependent without being intimidating is also hard. Being dependent without being intimidating is also hard. Is what that
Yeah.
person.
Um,
Are marriage perks self-entitled or privileged? Having marriage perks.
Is that I don't know if Sean is saying is there an either or, because I think there definitely are some wifey privilege. I miss some of my wifey privilege, like, oh, I need my car, I need my gas tank filled up, and just magically there's gas in my car, or oh, the indicator light came on in my car, and then all of a sudden the indicator light is not off, or I feel like this, and then it just happens. So there's definitely some wifey privilege.
Yeah.
um, and I don't know if she's saying if is
No,
there a
that's
difference.
really a good answer. Renetta says, thank you, Tameka. Sean said, yes, you loving him now in a special, in a different way, having that love agreement. Child, some endings are necessary. Yes, some endings are necessary. She's saying bottom line, basically.
Amen.
Mhm.
Michaela Hayes says, what are some dating, you went over that. What are some dating tips for singles? Yeah, Sean said, you better not. I don't even know to what part of the message we were doing there. What kind of healthy boundaries do you have? Anybody want to talk about healthy boundaries? And Elder Lamont Josie says, unconditional love is
Mhm,
the prize.
mhm.
So yeah, because it's a big difference between just having somebody that's like saying that they're married to you and they're really not committed to the marriage. And so
Yeah.
the fake out kind of love is not true
Yeah. Do
unconditional.
you love all of my ugly?
Right.
Do you love me when the mask comes off? Do you love me when I'm crying about X, Y, and Z that happened 20 years ago and I'm still dealing with it? Do you love me when I haven't had my breakfast and I'm a little snarky? Do you love me all the time just because of who I am and who God gave me to you to be? Do you love me because of that, or do you love me because I'm cute?
Yes, Lord, with those dimples, you real cute. Real cute. Sometimes losing a battle allows you to win a war.
Yeah.
Great comment. And so who else said some men or women are in it for the chase, not the relationship. It's the conqueror that's attractive.
Very true.
Yeah.
There's
I,
so many comments on here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of these today, guys. Y'all are putting so many great comments. Oh, Elder Josie said that's really deep about the symbiotic. Katrina Numa says symbiotic. I love it. That's
Mhm.
Sean says, dang, she's killing it. Okay. Ronetta says it is so important to spend time with your spouse. Yes. Thanks, Tameka. Oh
Mhm.
Lord. That's right. Hee ha. They don't want much. They don't want much. Okay. Let's see. Some men or women are in. Okay, I talked about that. Attractive. Okay. I'm sure attractive. If you talking about it, when I talked about these women out here in the world, woo, they sexy. Sexy, sexy.
Mhm.
I ain't never seen nothing like that. Michaela Hayes says, what does it mean to be whole in both of your takes on this? What does it mean to be whole?
I would say to be satisfied and to feel like you don't need anything from the outside to complete you. That would be my definition of feeling.
Beautiful.
exactly, exactly. I can only echo what Terry said. Marriage or a spouse or a mate does not complete you. You came here completely whole. The way
Mhm.
God made you, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And when you know that full well, that's when you're whole.
That
Yeah.
I believe that with my whole heart.
Yeah.
It does not. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I was already a leader. I was
That's
already who God created me to be prior to even meeting my husband. You know,
amen.
Mhm.
so it's like I brought value to this
Yeah.
relationship, and
Yes.
I personally believe this is just me, Kim. I don't know if God said this or not, but I personally believe that He is who He became because of His experience and encounter with me. And
Yes.
so together, not because I'm so cocky, arrogant or anything, but I believe that God puts two people together for the purpose of building them up to become who they ultimately should be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a big believer that you are already equipped with greatness, and then you bring that greatness to a situation, and it can only become greater. But it's
Mhm.
not like, oh, you made me or I made you. I didn't make my husband. He didn't make me. God just allowed us to be joined together to be our best selves within. This
And for your ministry purpose. I believe for your ministry purpose.
right.
Uh, because your purpose is not marriage. Marriage is not your purpose. Your purpose is to be reconciled with God, and reconcile others to God. But
Mhm.
you might be married for a joint purpose. Your
Right.
purpose is together.
And people
Um,
need to be
Tam, I
able to
have a
see
question here.
Christ. People need to be able to see Christ through you and your letting your light shine, whether it's through singleness or through marriage. But go ahead.
Yeah.
What's the question that you see that you want to address?
There's a question here. Do roles still exist in marriage?
Yes, I see that. Okay, that's Lewis Cook. Do roles still exist in marriage? The roles and responsibilities of a husband, wife, or is this a thing of the past? Somebody address that.
Okay. Uh, I'll take a stab at it. Or Terry, you are welcome to.
Well, I just think it depends on your household. My household personally is still very much traditional roles of me taking care of the house, me cooking, and my husband definitely being the provider. So I think it just depends on what works best for your household. So it's a case by case scenario.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I think my household was very traditional as well. But I do think we have to, and the Bible is very clear about what our roles are in marriage. So
That's the bottom line for me. Whatever the Bible says is what I
Bible,
go by, Lewis. So
the Bible is very clear about roles in marriage. And when I was married, I actually taught a class at church about roles and responsibilities in marriage. So the Bible is clear; they are there, and I don't want to say but, and it is 2020, and I think. I mean, there are situations that I know where the husband is at home taking care of the children, and the wife far out earns him. And so maybe she's a doctor or a dentist and she out earns him, and the husband is at home taking care of the children, and the family. And I think that's completely fine. I think the key is communication and what you have decided for your marriage. And I think
Mhm.
that it's important to come back and circle back and have those conversations often about, okay, something changed in our household, and so maybe roles and responsibilities need to change.
Right.
And I think it's healthy to have those conversations. One, anytime anything changes, or two, on a periodic basis. Is that 6 months? Is that a year? Is that 3 months? Whatever that looks like for your family.
well,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to this funny comment. Sean Hall says men are petty too, fat stomachs, but talking about she's real thick.
They petty too. They are petty Freddy. Yes.
Sean, that's okay. Lady Linda Allen says some singles give wifey privileges and delay commit. What?
That's a word right there.
Yes, she actually, her and her husband also do relationship classes for couples, and she says that some singles give wifey privileges, which delay commitment.
Absolutely. I know you guys heard this before. My mom has always said he is not going to buy the cow if he getting the milk for free.
Oh my gosh, there we have it. Okay, let's see what else. Tameka, do you see yourself being married again?
Oh, Trina. So, if you'd asked me that question 5 years ago, the answer would have been absolutely not, ever, never, never. Um, and over the years, my answer has softened to that. The reality for me is that based upon the numbers, and when I say the numbers, um, if we look at men age 18 to 65 that are marrying ages, um, in our country, and we look at the number of men and we look at the percentage that is married, 32%, the percent that is single, and that's 51%, and that's been 51% for 30 years. So some of those single people who they're married, they were married and now they're divorced, but the percentage stays the same. 51% are married, 4.5% are incarcerated, 2.3% are openly gay. And so when you get down and dig down to all those numbers, so now we're looking at 1.2%, I think it is, of men age 18 to 65 in the country who are available, Black men who are available, to be married. And I don't see myself marrying anybody who isn't Black. Um, and I'm in good company because 96% of African American women want to be married to an African American man. So when I look at that, I think it's probably not probable. Now, God can do whatever God wants to do.
Well, you done put a whole bunch of summa cum laude into that. Oh, that was like way over the regular old graduates with B's and C's.
It's not probable. But what I will say is, in the last 6 to 8 months, I feel myself being open to wherever God leads me. So if God has that for me, then I'm open to it. I didn't
There
used
you
to
go.
be, but I am open to it now. So, and I do, you just flash dating D up there. I do a lot of dating. So maybe.
Okay, let me go. Let me a couple more comments because there was so many of them. Just turned 60, Teresa Mosley, and still have faith that my knight in shining armor is coming. But my qualifications are a lot different than they were in my 30s and my 40s. Anybody want to talk to that? And this lady is beautiful. I mean, this Teresa Mosley is just drop dead gorgeous, has the best spirit. She serves, she has a servant's heart. So I mean, I can't imagine that she would not get remarried again, you know?
Yeah, good for her though. Good for her to still be open to love. And I think that naturally your qualifications do change because what I was looking for at 20 versus what I was looking for at 35 is a lot
Exactly.
different. You know, it was very
Exactly.
superficial things in my early years. And as I got older, I wanted stuff with more substance. One thing that was super important to me, as far as looking for a mate, is seeing how somebody overcame situations. You know, you want to see somebody in their good seasons, of course, but you want to see them in their challenging seasons and see how they uh, overtake obstacles in their life. So it was very important for me to find somebody who knew how to make things happen, who knew how to get over struggles in life. And so I would praise Teresa for her qualifications changing. They
That's
should
good.
as you get older.
And
Well,
I think Teresa, she gets to define what she's looking for. I mean, when we date, we should define what we're looking for. We should know that up front. For me, uh, it needs to be fun. It needs to be emotionally safe. It needs to be intellectually stimulating. For someone else, like Terry said, she decided it was time for her to
right.
get married or engaged. So she knew going in, okay, now I'm dating with a purpose. And so
Yes.
I think all of us are dating with a purpose, whether we've been upfront with ourselves or others about that. And
Mhm.
so I think we just need to be clear about what is our purpose for dating. So Terry, if you are looking to be married again, of course, like Terry said, your qualifications have changed, and
Yeah.
they should be very different. But I think if you're open to that and that's what you want, God gives us the desires of our heart. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. A few more. Michaela Hayes says, my marriage is different. My husband cooks and cleans. I do the same. I respect my husband as the head. Sean Hall says, marriage is not your purpose. The role shouldn't change the relationship. Some cows are on a lead. Okay. Lead. Sean on a roll. Okay. She knows those numbers. The pool is thin.
Then
Yes, break it down, Tameka, when you were talking about the numbers. And Gloria says people actually believe what they see on social media. My daughter happens to be one of those people who believes what she sees on social media. How can you address that for her as she shares that with her child?
One of my chapters in the book, it's actually the first chapter. It's called Keeping Up with the Joneses.
mm,
Because of social media, we now feel like we're looking at people's timeline all day long and we get wrapped up thinking, man, this person has a fabulous life. Look at their kids, they beautiful, they got these programs, extracurricular activities, they flying to Dubai, and we get caught up in a facade, and really it's a person's highlight reel. You don't know what's going on behind those scenes. You know, people are only showing you what they want you to see. And so I love social media. I love what it's done for us, but it's key not to get caught up in it. And people can get caught up in it so fast, but you're really just seeing people's highlight reels. So
Well,
you have to be careful with that. And for example, I'll talk about, I remember one time, I was going out of town with the person that I was dating at the time, and we were going to Charleston, and I felt really good and excited about it. But then I logged on to social media, and one of the girls I followed was going to Dubai. And I was like, well, dang, my little trip to Charleston was good a minute ago, but now I'm comparing my life to somebody else. And that comparison is just a never ending trap, and you'll never be satisfied. So you got to be careful about social media and not getting trapped in there.
Well, I am grateful that you addressed that. So Terry Kraft Rogers, I want to give you her website, and you can see it on the screen. It's Terry, Terri, Kraft Rogers with a D. So it's Terry Kraft Rogers. And I say that because I have a podcast where people can download on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and SoundCloud. So people only hear the broadcast in some regards. So that's TerriCraftRogers.com. She has a blog on here. And as you can see, the ones that are visually seeing this today, quarantine or incubation season. Now, Terry is a makeup artist that can look like she stepped out of a Essence magazine type of thing. And this is what she's been doing during her quarantine season. And you can read her blog. The jump rope. I forgot you had a jump rope in your hand because I saw your backside there. I was like, I didn't even realize you had a jump rope. But the jump roping is like awesome. And all of the tips that Terry shares, talking about perspective being everything. So either this is an opportunity to just watch everything on Netflix and gain 15 pounds, or to have this as an incubation period of greatness. And so make sure you check out, oh yeah, her sister Jasmine. There's some different information on here that's going to really allow you the opportunity to connect with Terry Kraft Rogers. So make sure you go to her page, TerriCraftRogers.com, and Dr. I call you doctor because you summa cum laude.
Yes.
Tameka O'Brien, let me give you her information. You can follow her on all of the social media sites, right?
Specifically, yes. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, you can find my blog, #DatingD. Some very comical stories about some interesting dates that I've gone on, and some cute ones as well.
It's so fun. So you have to go #DatingD, and it'll all come up right on Facebook. I'm not that technologically savvy. I can show a website, but I don't know how to get over.
You just click on the search engine on Facebook and type in #DatingD. All of my stories will come up, and you'll get a good laugh. You'll get a good laugh.
It's gonna be fun. So you have to go do that, right? When you get done, go check out Dating D on Facebook and TerriCraftRogers.com. You ladies have y'all dropped so much knowledge today on this episode. Anybody that wants to connect with you guys privately, they can through those two channels. So you can reach out to them on their websites or to the Facebook Dating D, #DatingD, and you're going to be able to connect directly with my guest today. Any final thing that you felt like one thing on your page, Tameka, was what advice do you share with children about being single as they are an adult? I wanted to make sure you got a chance to answer.
Wow. Well, one of the things is that the thing that I just talked about, you're not illegitimate. Being single is not illegitimate. It's not a consolation prize. It's not disobedience. It's not a disqualifier. It is exactly where God has you at this particular place and time. And so don't gripe about it. Don't grab, but decide to grow. I also tell my children that it's a gift. It's a gift. It's the Bible calls it, the word for gift is charisma. And it's the same charisma word that he uses for our bodies are a gift. And it's the same charisma word that he uses that Jesus was a gift to us. And so your singleness is no less than the Son of God. It is a gift, and you can decide to gripe or grasp, but you should really, how wonderful would it be if you decided to grow? The other thing is handle your own emotional baggage. We all have it. Deal with your stuff before you drag somebody else and their stuff in with you. And then just try to be content. Try to find contentment, because oh my goodness, there's so much peace in it. And find or remain balanced with those good, healthy boundaries. Um,
Wow. That's
and
some good stuff. Really good. Okay. Handle your emotional baggage before you drag someone else into your life.
Mhm.
You are blessed as a single. You're single. Being single does not, I don't know if I spelled that right. That's why I made that little, because I don't want it to be, yeah, I just said all the spelling that's wrong. Okay. Does not make you illegitimate. Okay. You can either gripe, grab, or grow as a single. These are all some great tips that have been
Yeah.
shared today. And now, any final thoughts from you, Terry, that you want
I would just say, and just piggyback off of what Tameka said, as far as in order to be happy in a relationship, if that's where you're trying to go, you definitely have to be happy as a single person, because getting married is not going to automatically make you happy. So if you weren't happy as a single person, you're not going to be happy as a married person. And so you definitely have to do the work. The second thing I just want to say is relationships are nothing but a mirror. So I just want to piggyback on what we talked about earlier. What you are is what you're going to attract. So a lot of times we have these men come into our lives and we're like, oh, he's no good. He's a dog. You have to look within yourself and say, what is the energy that I'm giving off that keeps attracting these type of people in my life? And so I just say, do the work. Do the work.
wow.
if you're attracting dogs, that means you're a dog catcher.
Okay, that's interesting, because you know what I used to
Mm,
tell people when I was younger, when I first my husband, when we were younger, and we were in a group of about 10 professional couples. It was like other all worked in the same job in the same industry. And one time he said to me, and literally in this house that we were in this business meeting, he said, you know, Kim, such and such, he asked me to do something. And I was like, oh, you know, like I wasn't going to do that because I was in the middle of doing something else. And
yeah.
he was like, you know, obey me. I was like, oh, did you say obey me in front of all of these professional people? But guess what? He said, "Oh, I'm just joking or whatever." And believe it or not, I didn't have a problem with obeying him and honoring him and submitting to him, because he was never that authoritative. You better do this or anything. But my point is that let me soften this a little bit. I'll say that one thing is, it's important. As I submitted to my husband, I felt like I was submitting to God.
Yeah.
I wanted other people in church and ministry to know that submission in your marriage is not just about that person, put a mask on the person, but submitting to what God's will is for your life. That's important to me. But when he said, obey me, back in the day when I was like in my younger 20s, believe it or not, he was still that real person all along the journey. So the reason I say that is because if somebody does something when you're dating, like they won't open the car door for you, or they be rude to you or whatever, put a magnifying glass on that, and times 10 or times 1,000. That's what they're going to do when you're
Mhm.
married. So
Mhm.
even in our case, it was biblically based kind of thing, but in some cases, it's not that way. And there are people that get tormented when they're dating, and they think that it's going to change when they are not, when they
Mhm.
finally are married. And no, he did these things before. So
Mhm.
you think that he's not or she's not going to do those things when you're married.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Maya Angelou said it best. When people show you who they are,
Believe
believe
them.
them. And I add the first time. I believe them the
Believe
first
them.
time. They don't have to make me a believer.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the thing that you said about submission is key, because the Bible is clear is that submission is for everyone.
Mhm.
And people like to start in Ephesians chapter 6, but I like to back it up to chapter 5, verse 21, where it basically breaks down that submission is for everyone. And now this is how you submit. Wives submit to your husbands, husbands submit to God, children submit to their parents. And so how we submit is very different. Women submit through respect, and men submit. The Bible says that they have to wash us with the water of the word, and they submit like Christ submitted to it. Well, Christ died for the church. And so submission is for everyone. The church, I think, has done a disservice to marriage because we don't talk about submission in equal terms. Because really, quite frankly, they're not equal. Because if we're looking at the way we submit, all we have to do is respect our husbands, and they're supposed to die for us and wash us with the water of the word, be the priest of our household. So submission is for everyone. Children
Oh,
submit
yeah.
to their parents. We submit to our husbands submit to God. So
Yes, and I actually know lots of churches that do talk about submission from that perspective. It's just that people don't always apply the teachings too. So
Mhm.
that's important too. Because I mean, there are some churches that may not talk about it, and then there are some that I 100% know that do talk about it. And if the people that are listening just hear the word and don't apply the word, then there you have it. It just
yeah.
a doer of God's word. That's a problem too. So. All right. Well, I think that we talked about everything I could think that we could talk about in this period of time. And I hope you ladies have enjoyed being my guests today.
Thank you so much, Kim. I've enjoyed it immensely. I was a little nervous, but you made me feel right at ease. And Terry
Yeah.
is a great guest as well. I've enjoyed spending time with you guys. You're so
Same.
beautiful, and I love your spirits. And just thank you so much for having me.
Same. Thank you. Same thing. Thanks for having us. I was nervous as well, but this has been great. Just having conversation.
I'm so glad. And I hope that you guys will come back again in the future. I have truly enjoyed it. And I always need experts in this area. So please know that you're both welcome to come back anytime in the future on the Kim Jacobs Show.
Thank
And right now, I will let you guys know. And usually, like the first 10 or 15 minutes of this, Pastor Jacobs is sharing COVID tips and statistics. But from 12 to 12:30, Monday through Friday, we have prayer line. You can jump on at 978-990-5000. Access code is 322083 pound. 322083 pound. And it's important to just know that people from all walks of life, we're on praying and we're trying to make sure that people are covered during this time of the COVID pandemic. It's not over. And so we need God to intervene and to help people. So please make sure you jump on that prayer line. You still have about 12 minutes or so. And let's see if there's any one final comment. Somebody said, preach, Reverend Mika. Love you, Auntie Kim.
Love you too, Auntie Kim.
Okay, so that's I'm glad I got a chance to go back and check out that last comment. I don't want to leave anybody out. Thank you so much, Mother Julia Harper, Mother Adele McLean, and Ella Spraley, my mom, all of these people that watch the Kim Jacobs Show. The show wouldn't be the same without you guys. And I am going to get ready. I told you I was trying my whole little new thing. I think that was pretty fancy to be able to play that music, right?
It was. You did great.
I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going to close out on that note. Thank you guys for watching the Kim Jacobs Show today. Tomorrow, my guest is Bernadette, and she's talking about crushing your debt. So we are going to tune back in at 11 o'clock a.m. on the Kim Jacobs Show, and you're going to learn about crushing your debt. You want to get a hold of that, okay, as quickly as possible. My guest tomorrow will be talking about it. And if you haven't subscribed to the Kim Jacobs Show, make sure you go to YouTube, take a moment and just subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. I really, it's my honor and my privilege to come on every day to share with you guys these wonderful guests like Tameka and Terry and tomorrow Bernadette. So please make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, and you'll be a part of tomorrow's broadcast. Let me get ready to close out today's episode, and we're going to end. God bless you all. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Don't disconnect yet. Let's see. Yeah. Show your shoulder blade. Now just everybody have a great day. Thank you for tuning in today.